Hello, it's nice to meet you. My name's Leah-Anne, I'm 17 years old, and this is my story. It all starts when I was 7 years old. Well, I kind of started to notice that I was different from the other children. I felt broken because I wasn't like them. So I was taken under CAMS, which is Children and Adolescent Mental Health Services, and they started treating me for anxiety. I didn't understand why, and I just thought it meant that I was something wrong with me instead of something that just made me who I was. I couldn't read and write as well as the other children, so my parents enrolled me in this after school club where they taught you how to write a book. You wrote a short story, illustrated it, and then they would publish it and it would go on sale. And I was so excited, I was so proud of myself. I wrote a book called Fairy Meg and the Mermaid. No, Fairy Meg, Princess Holly and the Mermaid, which is actually still available. You can still find it on the internet. It's rubbish, please don't buy it. It's not a good book. It was written by a very bad, very inexperienced 8-year-old. But I really enjoyed it and it really boosted my self-esteem. I was bullied quite badly and I spent most of my playtimes and lunchtimes reading a book instead of interacting with the other children. I'd get angry that I couldn't understand what the children were trying to say to me, so I'd lash out and push them away so that they'd leave me alone and I could just read my book, which would make me more and more isolated. I then went to secondary school and I made some great friends, but unfortunately, after a few years, they decided that they wanted to make new friends and left me on my own. So I started to push people away again and spend my time reading instead of interacting with the other teenagers. This is when the word autism started to get thrown around. They took me to a specialist. I'd been seeing a specialist since I was 7, and they finally gave me a diagnosis at 14 years old, just before I turned 15, which was life-changing because it meant I could go to a special youth group for autistic children, young adults, teenagers, whatever you want to call them. And oh my goodness, I met my girlfriend and some other great people, including my really good friend, and it was amazing. I just discovered this whole new world that I wasn't broken and there were people like me, and it changed my life. I then continued to struggle through school. I was quite alone, and GCSEs just tipped me over the edge. That's just pure anxiety, and I ended up in hospital. But thank goodness, because they were recognised that how much I was struggling from the hospital trip, they put me on medication, which meant I could function better, and I didn't have this constant cloud of anxiety blocking me from doing anything. And another good thing that came out of being in hospital was the nurse suggested to my parents that they got me an assistance dog, which they did research and found the right organisation and then found the right breeder and got me a little Labradoodle puppy, Leeson, who we are still training to be my assistance dog. He's doing really well, and hopefully within the next year he will be fully trained, which is so exciting, and it's going to open up so many more doors. He already has changed my life for the better. He does so much to help me. He does self-harm interruption, deep pressure therapy, and anxiety response, which are 3 really helpful tasks. Hopefully in the future he'll be able to guide me to an exit when I'm having a panic attack or a meltdown, and find my mum. Also, I want him to interrupt meltdowns and bring me to when I collapse. But that's for the future. Let's focus on now. Where were we in my story? We just got in Leeson. Things started to go really well. I was doing quite great until the subjects at college, the content started to get a bit intense. I was doing really well with the subject. I was getting top grades. I still am. I'm very good at health and social care, but unfortunately the content was very distressing and it started to make me ill mentally. It was all about mental health and it was damaging my mental health. In the end, I ended up in hospital again. And when I came out, I decided I'm not going to make this a pattern. I don't want to be in and out of a hospital for the rest of my life. So I decided to do something to keep me busy, to stop me going inside my own head and having that upset. So I started writing, and oh my goodness, it made such a difference. It was give me something to look forward to, and I would write daily, write these short stories until this one story I started writing, and I couldn't keep it short. I kept writing and writing until I had a full children's book, and I didn't want to put it in the drawer with the rest of my short stories, so I started illustrating it, and I spent months drawing and sketching and rubbing out and starting again until I had illustrations, and I looked at it and went, these are rubbish. So I scrapped it all in the bin. Well, I didn't throw it in the bin, I still have it. And I started again, and I spent more months with better quality art products, drawing and sketching and erasing, and again and again and again until I had these beautiful pieces of art. And I decided that I wanted to publish it. So I published my book and started selling it, and that's where I am at now. It kept me going all through lockdown. Leeson and my book were my lifelines. They're amazing. That and my girlfriend, who I text every single day, and she keeps me going. And that is how we got to now. I am now selling at markets, and that always really exciting. I love going to markets. Unfortunately, they've been paused while we are on a short lockdown for the next 4 weeks, but hopefully when we get back to December, I can start going to Christmas markets and continue selling my book. It's called Pesky Penguins. It's all about mental health and assistance dogs. It's inspired by my story by my lovely Leeson, and it's dedicated to Leeson's breeder, who is a good friend of mine, and she's an amazing lady. I really thank you for listening to my story. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on my website, www.waggingtails.uk, where you can buy my book. Sorry, a bit shameless plug, but it had to be done. Thank you for listening. Please listen to some other young people's stories, and I'll see you soon. Bye.